Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Ross with 714 Ministries International. I just wanted to share with you some thoughts out of Psalm 55. It's if you get a chance today, read this psalm. It's very interesting. David is the author of this particular psalm, and there's this misnomer that people think that David wrote all the psalms. He didn't write them all, but he wrote a majority of them, and they have incredible expressions of every way you could feel and everything that you've gone through is expressed somewhere in the Psalms. Someone said once, and I've quoted this often, but there is a psalm for every sigh of the soul. And it's so true. So this psalm, historically, if you look at some of the commentators and scholars, they think that it was written during the time when Absalom, the very son of David, rebelled against him. And that would always be tough. You're a king, you're leading a nation, you're not perfect, you've made some mistakes along the way, but in this particular instance, one of your sons did not feel like you handled things well within the family, and he takes it out on the nation, and he basically sets up shop in front of the palace or somewhere close vicinity to the palace, and begins to turn the heart of the people away from David to himself, and that son was Absalom. A very beautiful young man as far as Bible describes his physical character, but a very treacherous young man in his heart. Now, this particular psalm talks about how David says, everything's against me. I've got enemies on every side, troubles breaking out everywhere. But what really did him under was not even the external, this opposition from his own son, which was awful in and of itself. But he had close friends, particularly one, but close friends. And it doesn't name their name, but it talks about their character and how they turned on him when he needed them the most. One of my favorite songs is the Bill Withers song, Lean on Me When You're Not Strong. I'll pick you up, I'll help you carry on. There's a saying that says, a friend in need, N-E-E-D, is a friend indeed. And so David has none of that during this experience. So for the first 11 verses, he talks about the fact that, it's mayhem. And literally he uses the word horror, and like he's in shock and appalled and grieved and literally afraid for his life, and just he literally says, I wish I had wings like a dove so I could just fly away, so I could just leave this mess behind. There's a lot of men, and this psalm I think is particularly vital for men to read and to understand. How many times have we heard that men leave their families and their homes and just leave and just go? And we've heard of women doing it too, but in particular, men seem to be more adept, I guess you could say, to doing that, to just leaving it all behind and running away. Because we have to be strong for our family and for our home and for our community. And at some point, it's so overwhelming that some men choose to just run from it all. And David actually expresses that. He says, oh, that I had wings like a dove, I'd fly away and be at rest. I would wander off and remain in the wilderness. I just want to get away from it. I just want to leave it behind. He said, day and night, he's suffering. The troubles are everywhere, oppression and deceit. And then he says this, though, this is what I want to get to. For it is not an enemy who reproaches me, then I could bear it. David, as we know, was the giant killer. He slew Goliath. He knew what it was like to have enemies. King Saul was his enemy, throwing javelins at him at different times before he had to literally flee for his life. And that became the time when David, I believe, matured. He went from shepherd boy to king material, and it transformed him. And by the way, your difficulties will make you or break you. I'm going to show you how to deal with your difficulties in a minute, because David deals with them well. He expresses them. I think that's one way to deal with your difficulties. Quit denying that they exist. Quit saying, oh, I'm okay. You may not be okay. You may be in the depths of hell. You may be going through literal trial and tribulation that is so overwhelming that you're done. Okay, be honest with yourself. Don't live in denial. And David doesn't. He goes, look, I could handle it if it was an enemy. I could bear it. Nor is it one who hates me, who's exalted himself against me. Then I could hide from him. So just avoid them. You know, some people in life, you just have to avoid them. They're always conflict. They're always drama. They're always problem. Just stay away from them, right? So he said, if there's an enemy, I can stand up to it. If it's someone that just hates me, I just avoid them. I just wouldn't have anything to do with them. But he said in verse 13, Psalm 55, but it was you, a man, my equal, my companion, my acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together and walked to the house of God in the throng. In other words, as everybody went up to church, to worship, we call it church, everyone went up to the temple to worship, or tabernacle, because the temple wasn't built yet. This is someone he'd walk with. This is someone he would spend time with. And they hung out together besides this. And they shared the struggles of life together. They talked about things together. And how do we handle this? And what do you do? And then he gives us the remedy, though, in verse 16. Yes, for me, I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me. Evening and morning and at noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. He has redeemed my soul in peace from the battle that was against me. For there were many against me. God will hear and afflict them, even he who abides from old. So David runs to God in prayer, right? He finds peace in the storm. The storm's not gone, but the peace is there because he finds God. And God redeems his soul in peace from the battle that wages against him. And so I just encourage you, be a person of prayer. Run to God. Evening, morning, and at noon. It doesn't matter when, where, why, who, how. Run to God and find the peace and enjoy the blessing of who God is and what his presence provides for you. He redeemed my soul in peace from the battle that was against me. God bless.